Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. Please, boom, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And I'd like to welcome everybody to Roundtable Week, and we are just picking topics. And this week, we are going to do, between the four of us, our top 5 best comedies of all time. I think between everyone here, we could probably make that 50 per person, but just do the eyes of the beholder. We're just gonna have some fun with it, and maybe there might be a few gems in here that the audience never saw, which you'd have to go check out. So with that, I'm gonna go around the room and introduce my fellow guest. So directly from Florida, my new friend and fellow actress, Crystal Gorski. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just doing fantastic. I dig it.
Thanks for having me.
With me is no stranger to the show. We got Alex, who runs the Dawn of the Horror podcast. And Alex, say hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Wait, I was actually just on Alex's show like 2 days ago and stuff, doing a different countdown. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was editing that earlier.
Was that like underrated sequels? Is that what we did?
Yeah, underrated horror sequels.
Sweet.
But you did shout out Superman too.
Yes, I did. We all love General Zod. And also, for the first time to the show is a fellow Pennsylvania hardcore legend who I've known for about 20, maybe 25 years now. Eddie, if you know that cancel culture stuff, when you screw up, if people knew what me and Eddie did, our group did about 20 years ago, we wouldn't be here. we acted up quite a bit.
You know, get it? Never heard of him.
I don't know about the rest of you guys. When you gave me the list, I don't really say like, well, this is definitely my number 1, my number 2, and it's just the top 5. I put them in the best order I could for everybody. But we'll start off with Crystal. For her selection, for her number 5 is The Three Amigos.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
I love that movie. I grew up watching that movie. And I just, one of the scenes like that gets to me is when he's like a plethora of piñatas. And I remember looking at my mom like, what does that mean? And she's like, a lot. I'm like, oh, okay. So he is crazy. But the whole movie was just so funny. I love Steve Martin. It worked out really well. So hold on one second. Echo, shut up.
I like that. That was awesome.
Echo, shut up. Sorry, that's my Alexa.
Yeah, Alexa sometimes interrupts everything. She cock-blocks everything.
That was horrible. What great timing.
Yeah, no, that's just pure humor. But I think I like this selection you have here. It's definitely got 3 icons in it, that's for sure. And it was like the heart of 1987.
Yeah, it was way back in the day. I mean, I still know, and I'm not going to sing it, so don't ask me to. But the song that they sing when they're sitting in the desert, I grew up with that. I would hum it, in school, and I would get beat up. But no, I mean, it was just a lot of fun.
And I don't know if you knew this. I know they're coming to Philly in September, but Steve Martin and Martin Short are on tour together, so I'm going to see about getting in on that.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Eddie, you had to have. You definitely had to have seen this and liked it.
I think I saw this in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's an all-time classic. Like, I love that movie so much, and that's such a good choice because it was all 3 of them were pretty much at the time of their movie.
Yep.
So, and like, I mean, I maintain that Steve Martin is the only American comedian / actor that could have joined Monty Python and held his own.
Mm-hmm. And And the thing I liked about Steve Martin was, yeah, he was a little bit with the language, but for the most part, the guy worked clean, and that's hard. That was hard to do and stay relevant for so long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was right there. Alex, your thoughts on this one?
Never seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never seen the Three Amigos.
Have some homework now.
Everybody, I know everybody in it, but I just never came around to seeing that one.
Because you're not a product. You're not a product of the '80s. That was your problem.
Yeah. I'm a '90s kid. I was born in '85, so I don't remember
if it was like She's All That, you'd be right there.
Welcome to Good Burger.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Well, moving on to Alex's number 5, and I highly approve of it. I think we all will. With that, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yeah.
Well, this was an '80s movie.
Yes, it was. 1985. It was Tim Burton's first film he actually directed. And you know what, Alex? It's your pick, so go. You talk first.
As long as I can remember, I have always been watching this movie ever since I was like probably 3 years old. Like it was on like a steady rotation since I was a little kid, and I still watch it now, and I think it's better now than when I was a little kid because I actually understand like when I'm a kid, I just thought it was just like this freaky movie, but now like the humor is pretty hilarious for an adult, and me and my friends always talk about it all the time, like at work, talking about like how much of a psycho Pee-wee truly is. like he went on a road trip to find his bicycle that he was in love with, and he thought it was the Soviets that did it at first.
It really is a movie where every minute something's funny is happening or it's happening in the background. You got to pay attention. It's such a relevant movie. It was Tim Burton's first directed film, and it was Danny Elfman's first time he ever film scored.
And I always get the score stuck in my head all the time.
It's absolutely great. And I just like, I could go on forever, but the way like Francis and him are coming to the corner, Francis kind of sneaks up on him. Like I was sitting here the whole time. Good morning, Pee-wee. He's gonna make him the offer. And that big blueberry outfit, he has on. I'm gonna offer him money for his bike.
Yeah. And what I was telling you when we were recording on Sunday, that a lot of the '80s movies can be a horror movie. Even though this is a comedy, there still is some like really like freaky stuff in it, like the clown laughing at him when he sees that his bike is gone, and the dream he had of the T-Rex eating his bike.
Yeah,
it's all pretty freaky.
You could see the twisted Tim Burton, like up.
Don't forget Large Marge.
So speaking of Large Marge, there's two things. Number one, I've always wanted to get to those dinosaurs. I never got to them yet. I did recently visit the Alamo in Texas, and I was getting ready to say the line, like, where's the basement? And everywhere you walk, people were saying the line. So I'm like, don't even do it now. Like, don't even go there. It's a milk joke. But yeah, and I remember when this hit CBS on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock, like with commercials, was really the first time I saw it. I was like 8 or 9. When the Large Marge thing hit, I actually jumped. Like I was legitimately scared. It had like goosebumps going over my arm. And but I was just a child to me at the time. But that made me actually jump. I wasn't ready for that.
Sure.
But yes, Eddie, your thoughts?
It's a classic. Like Pee-wee Herman is timeless, even from like his early time in the Cheech and Chong movies. Like
Meatball 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Moving on to Eddie's number 5. And I thought this was a good curveball. Brazil. Floor is yours.
Yep. So probably the most. It's probably going to be the most obscure movie on the list, I think, because Terry Gilliam just gets absolutely little respect as a filmmaker. And anyone who can do a parody of something like 1984 and just make a classic dark comedy out of it, really just, he nailed the whole thing. And it's an older movie, and I remember I used to watch it when it was on TV, and it was heavily edited. And then I never got to see like the actual unedited one until I was in my 20s, and just it and after I had read 1984. So it's just such a good play on government bureaucracy and ridiculous like bourgeois culture and all that. And
Gotcha.
memorable parts of it.
I can tell you, dude, I've seen very bits and pieces of this back in the day, so I can't really comment too much. Crystals, did you happen to see this or no?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Alex?
No, I just looked it up though. So it's like a satire.
Oh
type
yeah.
of a, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
I've
if our
heard of it.
viewers didn't see this one, this is a good idea to check out. Moving into the number 4s. This is a curveball here, but we all know this. This is Crystal's number 4, The Money Pit. Tom Hanks. This is right after Shelley Long, I think, might have just left Cheers, maybe. Might have been right around that time.
Right around that time.
Yeah, when she thought she was going to take over all Hollywood. But yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah, I love that movie. So that I again, another one I grew up with, and I just love Tom Hanks. Like, his freakouts are just amazing, and they're still so lighthearted, but you can feel his emotions. And in that movie, like, I don't know if you guys have ever owned a house, but I recently bought a house, and I swear to God, it's a money pit. Like, it's just everything that happens here reminds me of that. I just want to put scaffolding outside and hire a faux crew and just film a movie here, because it would be just as funny as that film, except
Your
for we
floor
would have
didn't
time.
cave in, did it?
You know what? And not yet, but anything could happen. Okay. Don't get me started. But yeah, no, just that movie's great. I love they have the crew there, and she's like making stuff and bringing water up to the bathroom. There's a crew guy right outside when she's taking a shower. Like, it's just like whatever a nightmare can be, they put it in there, and it was just so well done.
You know what? I have not seen this probably since the 80s. I remember the floor caving in. So basically, I'm saying is I don't have too much feedback on this. Alex, did you happen to see this?
I'm striking out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these movies yet.
Alex, it's another 1985 movie, I believe, or 86. So yeah, we know the world didn't exist before 1990 to Alex.
but yeah, I bought a house 3 years ago, and I could relate to that though. So
Eddie, any thoughts on this?
This is another one that I saw in the theaters when it first came out. And it's another classic.
When he gets stuck with the carpet or whatever, and she comes back inside, and I want the hair. I'm like, I could just die. Oh.
All right. Cool. Moving on to Alex's number 4. And of course, we're not in the 80s. Freddie Got Fingered. With the great Tom Green. Floor is yours, Alex.
Where do I start with this one? It's about a guy that desperately wants his father's approval, and it kind of reminded me of, obviously not like the putting cow udders in my mouth or cutting open a deer or anything like that, but there was, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't want to get a job, and I was kind of at war with my dad, sort of like how Tom Green was at war with Rip Torn in this movie during this time. And I think Rip. It's not really Tom Green that's the funniest character in the movie. It's Rip Torn. Rip Torn is hilarious in Freddy Got Fingered. Do you, like? There's a lot of sick stuff in this movie, and that's not what's funny. But like most of the stuff between Tom Green and Rip Torn, like the restaurant scene, and like the kid getting hurt, and Harlan Williams getting bullied by Tom Green's dad.
Mm.
It's just a hilarious movie.
I have to say, I did not see this one. I had a big thing about when Tom Green burst onto the scene. His style I got sick of quick. So when you say Tom Green, I think Road Trip. I like that, but I just thought he was the same guy in every movie, and it just a one trick pony. So I kind of stayed away.
Well, it's better than Road Trip. I'll just say that
it's better than Road Trip.
Yeah, it's more like if you don't like Tom Green, you're not gonna like the movie. So, Road Trip was more of, I forget the guy that directed Road Trip, but it's more in that style. The Tom Green directed and wrote this movie, so it's just like off the rails.
Gotcha.
You know how Tom Green is.
Crystal, did you see this one?
I saw it, but so long ago that I had to look up a scene that I thought was in there, and it was from Road Trip, so I don't recall the movie. Yeah.
I have a feeling Eddie saw this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And as a kid who used to do things just to freak their parents out, it resonated with me deeply. And Alex is right, because Rip Torn is seriously the star of the movie.
Yeah.
He was the perfect choice for that movie, and I think the movie would have had any legs without his performance in it.
That's how Rip Thorne is, though. He kind of steals movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyone named Rip Thorne is gonna make an impact. Eddie, we're gonna keep you talking with your selection for number 4. Good, nice one too. That's the Smoochie with the great Robin Williams.
Oh, I can't even tell you how much I love this movie, even though it is critically reviled.
Yes, it is.
This
was one, but they were really hammering all the Robin Williams, like one after another, which I thought they abused him too much. I was like, it's Robin Williams. He's never bad in anything. I don't know about every movie he's been in, but he's never bad.
No. But the thing is why this movie was hated so much was just because people don't want to hear the truth about Hollywood. And it's like you had Edward Norton, Catherine Keener, Danny DeVito, Jon Stewart. That's an all-star lineup.
Yeah.
And I mean, this movie goes into some really, really dark places. And I mean, Robin Williams, the more unhinged he becomes in this movie, the funnier it is.
Yeah. Crystal, did you see this?
I did not see it, no.
Alex?
I have. I saw it, but it was over 20 years ago, and I remember it being funny. And this was like the era of Robin Williams when he was playing as Psychotics all the time.
Like 1 hour photo and stuff, but I thought he kind of needed to try something in a different direction. So yeah. I thought his choices, like, how many times could you keep doing the same thing over and over? So I mean, I thought it was cool that he tried some things. He got chewed out for a lot of it. Thought it was a little bit too abusive.
Whatever Robin Williams does, I loved it. Yeah. I think I liked serious Robin Williams more than funny Robin Williams. This was a comedy, but it was a dark comedy though.
Yep. Coolness. Okay, so I was just realizing we were about to start the threes, and I'm like, why are we going so fast? And because some imbecile's been skipping over his own picks.
I thought you were saving yours for the end or something.
No, I don't know why. I'm like, we're going kind of fast here. All right. So I'm going to catch up here, and I'm going to do back-to-back 5 and 4. So my number 5, I bet you all know it. I also love the series. Both of them. These are movies that are made to be freaking stupid. They announce the shit up front. You either like this humor or you don't. But with that, coming at number 5, Wet Hot American Summer. And to be to this day, this is one of my go-to movies whenever I'm sad or feeling I need a quick pick-me-up. I love the Netflix prequel that they did and the series that came after 10 years later. And the fact that this was made in like 2001 and then Netflix does a prequel while they're 15 years old or 20 years older than it was like supposed to be the day before the camp opened. And then they go 10 years later. I just think it was this hilarious. And the fact that the guy got everybody back. He got Bradley Cooper back when he was Bradley Cooper and Elizabeth Banks, all that. It's just a stupid movie, and it's a gold to me, pure gold. Crystal, did you see this?
I saw it a long time ago, but I couldn't even tell you much about it. I remember it being hysterical, though.
Alex?
No, but I actually want to. I think I need to find I think I need to watch a movie like that for the summer, a summer camp movie.
Alex, this is not 1980. This is the 2000s. What's wrong with you here?
It was what was it? The early 2000s?
Yeah, this is what do you call it? The same group, the State that had a show on Fox and MTV, and they were. It's the same crew over and over, but they got their fan base, but it's out there.
This has Ken Marino, right?
It's got a lot, dude. There's a good solid. Some of the guys from Reno 911 came from this graduating class. Paul Rudd was in this. Before he was like famous at all. So the guy that played Keller in Oz, and then I think he went to CSI. Like he's in this. There's like a lot of faces that came through this graduating class, if you will. Eddie, did you see this?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Like, I would go on to say that the Generation X meatballs.
Yes.
Like, and it launched so many careers after it.
Yep.
All-star lineup. And it's just pitch perfect and done with respect to like the 70s campy camp movies.
Yes.
And I mean, they were doing the throwback before throwbacks became the thing to do.
Yep.
And they did it well. And I mean, just all in all, it's just a hilarious movie from beginning to end.
It really is, and I mean, you're either into this type of comedy or you're not. Same thing, with any of the spoof movies. Like this is either your cup of tea or it's not. But for me, I live on this tea. It's all right. I'm going to stay with myself for a second so I can catch up with you guys. I'm going to go at number 4, and this is one we all love. Everybody in the world loves this movie. Everyone quotes this movie. I'm surprised I got the selection. 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's just beautiful. It's another, to me, this is almost on par with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where there's something funny happening every minute. To me, there is no dead time in this movie. You're not like, hey, I could step away for 5 minutes because the movie's you have to stop it. It's just too good. And it was funny. I worked with a guy that he just never went out, but he always talked about like how he wanted to meet a girl. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like he's just like, I don't like leaving the house, but he's like a nice guy. So I just pictured that part when he's just like, I have a really fulfilling life. And he's like, now I'm painting your pants blue and like, doing karaoke in his underwear. I would play him that clip. I'm like, this is probably you, isn't it? And he's laughing really hard. I'm like, dude, you got to get out of the house. But yeah, that birthed Steve Carell. I mean, he had Anchorman. And I think he had Bruce Almighty. I don't know if it was just around this time or right after, but I know he was at the Daily Show and all that. But this is what made him a superstar, and he never ever digressed at all.
Yeah,
Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys, the wax scene, like it's iconic, like.
Yep.
And how awkward he's just so awkward on every date. Everything he does is just like. The whole movie is just amazing.
It is. It's just so funny. The vomit in the face and the way his expression. He's like, I think I'm going to skip out on the sex. Like,
right?
Yeah.
It's so awkward.
Yeah, I've seen this. I love it. It's a great comedy. It's before Judd Apatow started to get boring with his movies, but this was probably my favorite out of the Judd Apatow movies.
Gotcha. Eddie?
Yeah,
go ahead, Alex.
I think the most memorable part for me is like what you were saying when he's at his house all by himself.
Yeah.
When he's just marching back and forth playing the tuba.
Yeah. It's like a perfect edit. It's just in and out to show how pathetic his life is. And I always tell people it's a lot of I know. Unfortunately, especially Eddie, me and you are around the same age here, but there's so many people I know that love Star Wars and Star Trek, and their entire house does look like the Neverland Ranch. That quote they have in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, like, you can't bring a car over here like you have toys all over the wall. Like, you're going to embarrass yourself. I always say that when they tell me, oh, I got a new figure, I got a new poster, I got new poster art of Star Wars, and I'm just like, that's a $6 million man's boss. I say it all the time. Dude, no girl's gonna want to come here. Like, she's gonna run out screaming.
I love those kind of houses.
Except for Crystal.
I think that's so cool. I have so many action figures I haven't put up yet from all my loot crates and stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, if only Andy found you before he found We Sell It on eBay girl from that movie.
Oh,
Eddie.
God. He still have his collectibles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, just one of those movies. It was a lightning in a bottle movie. Like, I mean, you had like Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd when they were started. Steve Carell just starting the arc of his career. Jane Lynch before she was a household name. And like, one of my favorite lines of the movie in a movie ever was the co-worker when he's like, this is the bullshit of all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm known for quoting that, and people look at me weird.
So we're going to stay right here. We're going to jump into number 3s with Crystals, and we might as well stay with Judd Apatow because Superbad. You know what? This one almost made my list, and I'm glad that she put it in there. I was actually torn between Superbad and the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I love this flick so much, but Crystal, it's your pick. Go first.
Yeah, this was just so well done, and I mean, everybody knows who McLovin is, but like, just even like small scenes in this movie. Like, I love how he's like, yeah, I would draw dicks, and it's like, and they just get so involved in it. Like it was just such a serious conversation, so like it was so hard not to just cry laughing during this entire movie. And, like he's talking to her, he punches her right in the tit. Like, come on, like how much more awkward could you get? Right. Like he's
the three of them, the three of them were cast perfect. Bill Hader was like out of this world funny. And yep. I could tell you, like, you're right. I mean, the three of them were so good, and the part you had to draw the pictures of dicks. I do remember actually pausing the movie because I had no air in my stomach. I didn't want to. I had actually sit there, roll up in a ball for a good 2 minutes before I hit play again because I wasn't ready for that.
They were so
Who
intricate.
writes that in the script? Draw pictures
Yeah.
of the dicks.
But I mean,
And
they
then-
took a lot of time to decorate all those penises that he drew. Like, quite literally, go back and pause it, guys. Like, I was like, what? Like, he had full-on characters. There was a whole movie going on there.
Yep. So
It's like the detail. No,
it's
that
definitely
movie's just
another
amazing.
go-to movie. I think it was like back to back. I was not a big fan of Knocked Up. I think it went 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and then Superbad. Knocked Up had
Yeah.
some moments, but I didn't like it as much. But
It
Superbad
was okay.
was
Yeah.
like boom.
I
And
mean, the whole movie was just, it just keeps going, you know? So,
yeah, but I love the party scene where like they're sneaking in. I'm just thinking like, was there really gas in that and you just like
yeah,
dumped
he
it out?
filled it up with,
So you're
and
gonna
then
fill
the
it up,
great-
but are you gonna get everybody gonna get sick? It's like,
yeah, and then he emptied out the laundry detergent and filled it up. I'm like, come on, like, there's no way.
Alex.
Yeah, I love this movie. Yeah, the whole dick thing with like the drawing of like the army tanks in
Yep.
front of like a giant in front of like a giant dick, and he was like, they even maybe stop eating long food.
that
You know what
look
kind
like
of
dicks.
you know what kind of food are shaped like dicks? The best
Best
kinds.
kinds. Yeah.
Yeah, and the party scene with those older guys, and
Yep.
Michael Cera is like forced to sing in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I went to so many parties, particularly with Matt Gray. He's in the Pennsylvania Arc Force, where we would just wander into people's. We'd see a party and just act like we belong there. That scene when them guys come in, I was legitimately like, shit. Like they were intimidating guys. Like all of them were. And they're like, oh, they got coke too. I'm like, are they gonna kick my? Like I flashback to the Michael Cera. I literally felt like I jumped in his body, like the younger version of me of like, you had to wander into this one. You're gonna get your ass kicked. They're gonna beat the crap out of you. So
Oh, gosh.
Well, those guys are cool. They're like, you want a line, man?
yeah. Yeah. But I just like the way they called him out. Who's that guy? Like that was just great. Like all their faces changed. It's like Eddie,
Oh,
your thoughts on
shit.
this one?
It's weird because I love it, but I haven't seen it in years, and I forget. Like, I mean, but it's still a funny. It didn't have to be played that 40-year-old virgin, but it really, and the cast is great, and Mike, before he became Michael's,
Yeah.
and that one's tricky. He became kind of a joke after a while.
It is weird. Yeah, I don't know what happened because it was weird. The other dude exploded. Michael Cera. I'm sorry.
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill exploded. Yeah, because they kept talking about Michael. I don't know if there was a politic. I don't know, but it's weird how he fell off after that. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they tell like the teenage like, drawing thing, like every yeah, definitely
Cool.
good solid.
Sweet. All right, so we're gonna move into Alex's number 3, and I love his selection too. This is one where everybody. I think we all know this. If you haven't seen this, there's something wrong with you. There's something about Mary, and
This almost made my list.
it's a great movie. Oh no, screw it. It's Alex's pick. He gets to talk first. Go ahead.
Well, like you said, it's a great movie. It's a romantic movie, but it's for everybody. Like I don't like romantic comedies, but obviously this is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Like all the characters in this movie were hilarious, especially I would say Pat Healy and Woogie or Dom Woganowski.
Uh-huh.
It's a romantic comedy, but it's about people that are obsessed with a girl and they stalk her and they make it into a romantic comedy. Ben Stiller is a stalker in this movie, whether or
They
not he
basically
wants to
all
admit
are.
it.
They
Yeah.
all are stalkers, and it's because there's something about her. And it's cool because I love the Ben Stiller show. It was on Sunday nights on Fox for one season at 7:30. I always remember the time slot. And when they pulled the plug on him, I was rooting for him so much. So when this was technically his breakout film, I was so happy. And then you could actually see kind of that same character somewhat going to meet the parents. And I thought that was a great series. But then he did like Along Came Polly, and I'm like, dude, stop. Like stop. You can't keep being the same boyfriend disaster over and over. But something about Mary and Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon was always kind of more of the badass guy, and it was kind of cool to see him like take on a buffoon role. Like he's a bad guy, but he's a buffoon. Like he just doesn't has no idea what he's doing. So yeah, I dug that. I remember seeing that in the theater. And then, like, as soon as when that came out on video cassette, I think I paid full price for it. That's how much I like this film. Crystal, did you see this?
Film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great film. So I just love the scene when the door, but she's like, oh, hair gel.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It just kills me. No, the whole thing was well done. Just such a good film.
Wait, Eddie.
Classic. Absolute classic. Like, I think that this was the Farrelly brothers' shining moment. Like, they never did anything as good as this.
No.
I mean, there were like, and there was some unlikely stuff in it, like a night court reunion with Marky Post and Charles Robinson.
Yeah.
And like you said about Matt Dillon, and yeah, there were the huge jokes, but I'm a big fan of that little subtle joke. And when that guy is picking up Matt Dillon at the airport, and he has that giant dog in the car, and he's just like, does he bite? And the guy's like, a little. When people meet my dog and they say something like that, that's what I respond with. So it's just really great movie, and like probably the most under talked about surprise appearance by an NFL quarterback ever in a movie.
And when he was like in his prime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Brett Favre. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, so it's really a timeless classic.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Eddie and you chatting here, we're going to go with your number 3, which is one everyone wills very well. The Big Lebowski.
Okay, so The Big Lebowski. The first time I saw this movie, I was coked out of my mind. I got home and I'd never heard of it because it like flew in and out of theaters. And I'd gotten home, it was like 3 a.m, and I'm flipping through the channels and I see John Goodman losing his mind. And I'm like, okay, so you have my attention. And the entire movie, I'm sitting there like, I wasn't laughing, but everything was hysterical because it just got more and more ridiculous as the movie went on. And it wasn't until the end of the credits that I knew what the movie's name was, because it was before like HBO had, or like you could look up what you were watching on Comcast.
Yeah.
So the next day when I woke up, there was a Blockbuster by my house, and I drove there, and I'm like, do you have this movie, The Big Lebowski? And the guy was just like, the what?
Yeah.
And I explained it to him, and he was just like, yeah, we do. And I bought it. And who knew that 25 years later, that movie would become probably one of the biggest cult classic movies of all time.
So speaking of that, when I worked at the Trocadero until it closed, they had Movie Mondays since 1999. And there were certain movies you could bank on that everybody was coming up, like
Oh, yeah.
Purple Rain and Roadhouse. But I have to say, my entire era there, because people are just voting movies in. Sometimes you had some of these duds, repeated duds. When you had to guarantee a packed house, the movie they screened the most was The Big Lebowski. And everyone dressed up. Everyone was dressed up as a character.
Yeah, like I would say that it's like the weed smokers Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I could go on for hours about this movie. So, but I'll spare your viewers.
And your cool Ben Stein voice, yes. Crystal, your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything. It's definitely a classic, super funny, another just well done movie. It definitely deserves to be on the list. It's hard, like a top 20 list, when you think about it, but everybody's got really good films on there so far.
Yep. Alex, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like the whole stoner Star Wars thing, that makes sense because one of my best friends was the biggest stoner in the world, and he always had this movie on. That's pretty much how I discovered The Big Lebowski. It's just a wild movie. Like, the first time I saw it, I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, why is John Goodman pulling a gun on a guy over bowling?
That's the scene that I turned it on to, and I'm like, what is going on? Dan Connor's pulling a gun on a dude.
That's all John Goodman did for a while. He would yell. Remember Revenge of the Nerds? All he did was yell.
He's a great yeller.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Especially when he was that size. He lost. Good for him. He lost a lot of weight, so that was good because he was way too big for a little while. I was wondering if we were going to lose him. But all right, cool. So this time I get to go for number 3 instead of falling out of order.
You didn't forget yourself.
Yeah. So this film I recently saw probably in the last year. When it came out, I was like, looks interesting. I think it's going to be like all his other movies. And I happened to see it when it was on Stars for free. And it's one of the most unique moments because he took a million characters from everyone he's ever worked with and kind of had them play themselves. And it's just another stupid movie that makes me smile. The dialogue is great between everybody. And how great is it trying to making a movie with all your friends? This is the end. It's such that first 15 minutes when they're all at the house and everybody's there. Everybody's there. Danny McBride was so good in this. I mean, he absolutely he was just so fun. To me, he was the best character of that whole thing. He had me in stitches. I still won't forgive him for Halloween and my alien movies. Stay away. Don't write movies. Just stay Seth Rogen. That's all I need you to do. But it's one of those movies that when it's on, I have to stop everything. And it immediately turns my mood around. And I just think everyone in that movie, there's not a bad role in it. Like everyone's equally funny. It's a stupid movie. And that's what I needed. Crystal, you see this?
Yeah, I did see it. I just, it was so over the top good, like that's what made it, like, I don't know. Everybody was so funny. And it seemed like you were just kind of like hanging out with friends and then like shit just went down, like none of it seemed to be scripted.
It's going one of the movies. There's not a lot of downtime with that either. I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, but that whole scene where she overheard the word rape, but that's not what they were talking about. She thought, that's hilarious stuff. So, yeah. Alex, you see this one?
Yeah, it's great. So are we supposed to believe that, or were they implying that Danny McBride was sleeping the whole time when all the shit was going down? because he wakes up in the morning and he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, and he starts cooking everybody breakfast, but it's the last food they're gonna.
Yeah, he's eating all the food.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And when Danny McBride becomes a cannibal at the end, I love that too.
I just like when they were talking about the portions of food, and then he's saying, "Well, I'm twice the size as him, so I don't think I should get the same portion."
It makes the apocalypse kind of seem like a fun hangout with your friends, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was, but like it was literally everybody that was in a Seth Rogen movie. I think everyone but Bill Hader was in that. Those guys from 40-Year-Old Virgin that I said I was scared of, they were in the movie, like as themselves. They just got they carried over. So Paul Rudd, I mean, everybody was in that. Kevin Hart. It was that house party was like it had your attention. Then Michael Cera, they made him a big
Michael Cera.
Yeah.
And he was like, who stole my cell phone?
Yeah.
And then he right before he gets killed, the phone starts ringing in his pocket. And he's like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Eddie, you see this one?
Yeah. Like, and I love self-aware comedies because they made this movie just to poke fun at themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and it like I don't like when people take themselves too seriously. And it just showed like, hey, even James Franco can make fun of James Franco.
Yeah. And we are back the ball goes back to Crystal. I highly like this pick. And that is Stripes.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with the Ivan Reitman classic.
It's literally one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it. Just like I thought even the music, just like it just goes so well. And he's so funny and so amazing. Like the whole cast. Like, come on, let's be real.
It's the who's who. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was just incredible. So the whole movie, I can't even pick out one part. Like obviously everybody loves, that they were training or whatever. And then they kind of just like went for it with their, I don't know if that's like a dance or their choreography with I don't know what it's called in military terms, but like their march like that's so iconic. Like how much fun, right? So yeah,
you had a lot. You had Harold Ramis. You got John Candy.
John
the list
Candy.
Judge Reinhold. I mean, if you go through that list, it goes on. And John Larroquette. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Night Court was going on yet, but you just saw this was just an army of PJ Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went on and on.
Yeah.
Eddie, your thoughts on this one?
Classic, absolute classic. Like, you had such amazing star power in this one for the 80s. I mean, like Bill Murray, before he became Bill Murray.
I think he just came off of Meatballs, right about
yeah.
Ivan Reitman, another movie I love.
I can't remember if it was he did this and then Caddyshack or Caddyshack then this.
I think
Caddyshack
Caddyshack's next. I believe Caddyshack might
Is it? Now I'm gonna look it up.
Oh no, Caddyshack actually was first.
Okay.
And people remember him, I think, more for like being the unhinged Bill Murray in Caddyshack. And this one was a little bit more toned down, but not by much.
Gotcha.
But I mean, Sean Young was in this movie.
Oh, you're right.
Love Sean Young.
Like Crystal had said, it made that song an iconic part of American cinema.
It did. A lot of doo-wah-diddy-dum, that's for sure.
Yeah, so classic.
Alex, your thoughts on this one?
Can't believe it. I haven't seen it.
You're fired.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there was a lot of 80s Bill Murray movies that I didn't see, to be honest with you. and I think Bill Murray and John Candy are great. And yeah, I slept on this one.
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna watch all the movies that I haven't seen that you guys have mentioned.
All right. Well, we're gonna Alex, but we're gonna go with your number 2, and it's a great pick me up from the '90s, right in his prime. And Alex's number 2 is Dumb and Dumber, which you just can't go wrong with. And for the record, the Stanley Hotel has a connection to The Shining. That I was actually there, obviously because of the Shining thing, but the part where they're on the steps and they're in ridiculous outfits and yeah, what do you call it? Gets hit with Jim Carrey gets hit by Jeff Daniels like in the back. Like I was on those steps. Like they got posters of that. Like outside of besides The Shining, they plugged this movie. There's pictures of Dumb and Dumber all over the place. So that was the Aspen, even though it really wasn't Aspen, but but yeah, it was pretty cool. But this is this movie's freaking. No, what am I doing? Alex, it's your pick. Then me. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't you guys tell that I'm more of a '90s comedy
Yeah.
guy? Yeah, no. Everywhere you go, you hear people quoting Dumb and Dumber. It's just every scene in this movie is hilarious. Like Jim Carrey selling a dead bird to a blind kid. The pepper scene where they're eating the hot peppers.
The Gas Man.
Yeah, Gas Man. The whole thing with him being obsessed with Mary, another Fairley Brothers movie that's about obsession.
Yeah.
And the bad guys thinking that Harry and Lloyd are actually like feds or something. Like they actually think that they're like these like experts, but they're just idiots.
I still think that an ending to every comedy movie that's ever been made, Dumb and Dumber has the best lines with do you realize what you've done? And then he chases them and like the town's back that way. Like the opportunity they had was just like, is this so perfect? It's so funny because it was like one more laugh before we send you off to the credits. It was so good.
I heard that they were originally supposed to get on the bus and they're like, but that wouldn't be funny.
No, it wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They have to lose. They were like Beavis and Butthead. Like they have to lose.
Yeah. So the inside shots at the hotel were filmed at the Stanley Hotel.
Stanley Hotel. Yeah. Like when they were dressed up in that ridiculous outfit and they pulled up and they were handing like money off like the IOUs and all that. Like it was nothing. Yeah. That part. But I don't know. The ski thing couldn't have been there. It couldn't have been where I was anyway. I don't know.
I think they filmed like all that stuff in Breckenridge, Colorado, not Aspen.
Yeah, but that's a beautiful area. That's like right outside of Hayes, Colorado. It might actually still be part of Hayes. I was only there once, so I'm a little. But you go up. It's actually one of the most beautiful rides you'll ever see. Like it's all of Colorado is ridiculous. Beautiful state if you have not been there. But Crystal, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was just another classic. It's a great movie. They did really well with it. I can't remember every scene of the movie, but I watched it probably a good 2 or 3 dozen times when it first came out. It was just really funny. Great cast. Good writing.
Eddie definitely watched this a lot.
Oh yeah. And, to be honest, like everybody gives credit to Jim Carrey. Jeff Daniels made this movie.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels was good.
Yeah.
Jeff Daniels, like, you don't expect Jeff Daniels to do a role like that. But he did it, and he was, I honestly think that if he wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't have worked. Like, I can't think of another actor that could have stepped in that role and did what he did with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every scene is just memorable. Once again, so quotable. And I mean, it's pretty much proven like road trip movies are a cornerstone in comedy.
But we're gonna stick with you, Eddie, with your number 2, which is Jackass 3D. All you, sir.
This movie is like comfort food for me. Like, I could be in the worst mood humanly possible, and this one just brings me right out of it. I like, not to say like the first or second one were bad. This was the one where they just had to go all out, and they had a huge budget, access to ridiculous amounts of technology. And what did they use it for? Showing a slow motion dick hitting a ping pong ball. Like, they had to really up the stakes for this one, and it just worked out. And it just, I mean, it was like the last vestige of the classic Jackass crew. And just everything about this movie makes me giggle from beginning to end.
The ball, really quick, my hands are off. I've not seen this movie. So, Crystal?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jackass. If you like the show, you're gonna love the movie. You know, they were given more money, a bigger budget to do things with, and they rolled with it. I think this is the one where they dressed up as like grandpas too, right? With the balls hanging out of the shorts and everything. Like, I could have died. I mean, literally rubbing the balls on someone as they go by. Like, I mean, what kind of sick shit? Who thinks of that? You know, like,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It was good. Yeah.
Alex?
I saw it once, and to be honest, I don't remember it. I think I was like getting bored of Jackass at this point. So I saw it out of curiosity, but I don't remember anything about it. And I didn't see the new one either.
Yeah, I've never seen any of them, to be honest, guys. Everybody knows my wrestling and martial arts background stuff. I'm always was concerned about my body for the future. And then them guys are I was just like, I kind of couldn't smile over it. I'm like, this is all going to catch you in the long run. All of you are going to be worse than football players. And they, so, but I get it. It's a double-edged sword, and they're all famous and tons of money. And I'm sitting here. So, all right. I'm going with my number 2. This movie, everybody knows and does not respect it. It doesn't get the respect it deserves. I think everybody likes it, but it's just not on everybody's like A list. I love this character so much. It's an immediate smile by an icon. Navin Johnson in The Jerk. Yeah, this is just another go-to movie. Every minute of this film is hilarious. I could quote it from start to finish. I remember seeing it when I was like 5 or 6, and I was like smiling, but I'm not smart enough to understand the humor. So as I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, I went back and revisited. This is just Steve Martin, pure brilliance. And I could literally say this is like the 40-year-old virgin where you can just keep going every minute with quotes, but it's so good. He hates these cans. I mean, it's just so good. And even the cast, Carl Reiner and the Jackie Gleason's in this. There's a lot. This is just it's so good. Crystal, did you see this one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. And it's just another Steve Martin classic. Like you give this man a character, you give him a script, and he becomes that character, and he does a fucking phenomenal job. Like he's really he took the bulls by the horn with this and just kind of went with it. I loved it. Every minute, like you said, it just didn't stop. And
Bernadette Peters looked amazing in it, but she fit him perfect. Yeah. I mean, this it's just so good. I mean, it's such a good movie. Eddie, I can tell you're ready to jump in on this one.
Dude, like this one almost made the list. Like this is in the top 10. Like just from the opening line, I was born a poor black child. And just so many memorable lines and so many little like nuances in it. Like the last band I was in was actually called Iron Balls McGinty.
Oh yeah.
And because it just, I mean, I'd been carrying that one for years, and they were like, "What's our name?" And I'm like, Iron Balls McGinty, and they were like, "What the hell is that
Yep.
from?" I'm like, "The Jerk," and they're like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, like all in all, like Crystal said, Steve Martin is just amazing. Like Bernadette Peters, like they worked so well together. And if you don't move, you're going to be defective too. Like, just so much amazing stuff happens in this movie. And I like it probably yeah, definitely top 10. And I'm actually surprised that I didn't pick this one, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it we would have had that one movie, but it just also goes to show how classic the movie is.
It is. It's just I can't speak enough about it, and I also like, for the most part, again, Steve Martin not having to use tons of bad language and still knocking it out of a couple lines, but for the most part, a child could watch this. They're probably not going to get the jokes, but there's a lot of adult humor in it, but he just knows how to do it. Alex, you didn't see this.
I saw it, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, he saw it.
Yeah. Right.
I saw it like 15 years ago, and I was over my friend's house, and I just don't remember anything about it.
Alex,
I know it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Everyone's always asking me, "Did you see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw it. I just don't remember it."
Yeah.
You know?
Alex, what I'm trying to tell you is, if you like Dumb and Dumber, you could literally see Jim Carrey pulling a little bit off the Jerk here. It's freaking
okay.
Yeah, dude. It's basically it's pre that, but I don't see how you can like one and not the other. But that's for you to judge. So definitely,
it has nothing to do with me whether I liked it or not. I just straight up don't remember.
You need to revisit it. That's all.
I was probably drinking or something.
Yeah. Goldust. All right, Crystal, your number one is definitely a classic everybody knows, by the great John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah. Floor is yours.
Oh gosh. So another movie I grew up with, it would be on and I would just have to watch the whole thing. I mean, what a catastrophe the entire movie is, right? Anything and everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and you just slowly watch Steve Martin unhinge throughout the movie. So it's like he starts off very professional, and then you have John Candy, who's just this great-hearted guy, yeah, come here, but then here he is, washing his socks and underwear all over the
He's a class 1 disaster. Yep.
Oh gosh. The
Yeah.
car gets on fire, then the car rental place drops him off in the middle of a parking lot with no car. And you said he doesn't swear much, but that scene, that's the one where I'd never heard in any of the movies when I was younger with Steve Martin, did I hear him have a voice like that or speak with that many bad words. And I remember looking at the TV like, what just happened?
Yeah. You could actually, and I know he was a fan of him and he was in his documentary, but you could literally see in a small way this movie, Kevin Smith borrowing that for Clerks for Dante and Randall. You could kind of see he's taking it way over here, but you could see Dante and Randall and them characters like a precursor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So no, it's just a great movie. Great ending too. It's got a very lighthearted, loving ending. I like stories to have substance to them, not just, oh yeah, it's really funny, but then nothing really happens. It was a really good story to top it off.
Yeah. Alex, your thoughts on this one?
It's another one that I saw a long time ago and don't fully remember. I remember it more than I remember The Jerk. I find John Candy to be hilarious. I'm not the biggest Steve Martin fan. I know you guys want to punch me right now, but I love John Candy, and I need to revisit this one because it's a classic, and I wish I remembered it like you guys did, but I got a lot of movies to
It's
watch.
1987. We have to excuse you. Eddie, your thoughts on this one?
God, 87 was just a great year for movies in general.
Lost Boys.
Mhm.
RoboCop.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Monster
but this-
Squad.
I love Monster Squad. I'm so sorry.
Aliens.
Aliens was 85.
Yeah.
86.
85, 86. Definitely not 87. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, this movie, once again, road trip movies
Yep.
equal comedy.
Yep.
And just watching Steve Martin, his sanity start slipping because it's just a great turn. And when he finally snaps in that office, and the only thing that made that better was the fact that Edie McClurg just witnessed the first on-screen Karen in motion picture history. Because, I mean, back then, that was like unheard of.
Yeah.
These days, what he did was minor. But when she looked at him and was just like, well, it just looks like you're fucked then.
Mhm.
And especially because of how she was the bubbly secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off before that.
Yep.
And God, like, and once again, like, John Hughes movie. John Hughes wrote probably some of the best characters in movie history.
By far.
His
By
characters felt
Mhm.
really fleshed out, and you could tell a lot about them without knowing much about them.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, the only person that I've seen that can flesh out a character as well as he could is Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just, and here it is, like 35 some odd years later, and the movie is still highly revered. So can't say enough good stuff about it.
Hells yes. Well, that's a wrap on Crystal, and we're about to wrap Alex's number one, which I am a huge fan of. Coming in at number one, he said for the whole trilogy, and I have no problem taking that answer. And I watched this a lot outside at my movie screen in the summer. All the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah.
Frank Drebin, Police Squad. Yeah, this is your pick first, then I'll go. Go for it.
You need to invite me to your house when you play these movies.
You got it.
Yeah, these movies. I've been watching these movies since I was a kid, and Leslie Nielsen is fucking hilarious. The jokes in these movies are just so stupid and like so simple. Like it's just a simple, it's simple, stupid humor. Like almost everything is a joke in these movies. Like, oh, he has a 50% chance of living, and there's only a 10% chance of that. And like O.J. Simpson before he killed his wife is in this, and like I don't remember O.J. Simpson being in any other movie, but like the when he gets shot in the first one, he's in the hospital and his wife is crying, and the other guy, I forget his name, Kennedy. I forget his first
Kennedy.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, yeah, don't worry, he's gonna be okay." And Leslie Nielsen's like, "Yeah, but I wouldn't wait too long to fill out those organ donor papers." And also, like how like campy and raunchy they are too. Like I don't know, especially the third one. Like the third one is just super campy. I remember like in the sperm bank, like what I think it was Julie Strain that was a dominatrix in that scene.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that he was in a sperm bank, and he was like saying, "Oh, he's got an injury," and I think he's got like a testicular injury, and they're like,
I think I yanked it too hard in the backyard of my uncle, is what he said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want to go in there and donate some of your sperm? He's like, in there? And she's like, oh, it's not exactly in the backyard, but it'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Goulet. I mean, you had so many good. Priscilla Presley was great in this. I mean, all across
Ricardo
the board.
Montalban.
Yeah, but when he was Phil Donahue, I think in the third movie, like he beat up Phil Donahue.
And all the times I mentioned Weird Al Yankovic in the trilogy.
Yeah, and then he shows up finally.
Yeah, he was in the first one and the third one.
Okay, yeah, but he's honestly amazing. It's funny because Leslie Nielsen started off in horror movies, Prom Night and the Creep Show and all that stuff, and then transitioned. And I mean, there's a reason I could say those three movies are the most I screen outside because I'm trying to, have fun. It's like horror movies and stuff, but yeah, anytime I'm having a little bit of a bum day, I'm outside with a beer and let Frank Drebin, he could pick the day up for anyone. It's just too good of a movie. And I loved all those little dialogues when he was just talking about the case. And then like he would just end with like something funny, like a blind man at an orgy. I'm gonna have to feel around and feel this out. Like see what's going on or something like that. It's so freaking good. Eddie.
I absolutely adore the whole trilogy. And I was a fan of the TV show before the movies. So when the movies came out, I was all on board because I knew what I was getting. And it just, nobody could sell a deadpan line like Leslie Nielsen. And I have to correct you, Lauren. He was a serious dramatic actor before he started doing comedy. And that's where his delivery came from. They're all-time classics.
Without a doubt. And speaking of Leslie Nielsen, let's just stay with him for Eddie's number one of all time. Airplane. Leslie Nielsen in it as well. Floor is yours, buddy.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
The fact that they took the actual screenplay from another movie, a serious drama, and made it into what has been scientifically proven to be the funniest movie of all time is astounding. Everything about this movie was just perfect. The casting, I mean, Peter Graves, Lloyd Bridges, Robert Stack, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, everything about it, and Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty, everyone in this movie pulled their weight, and they all pretty much played it like it was a real dramatic movie with just the most outlandish shit happening. It's so quotable, and just if anybody ever told me that they didn't find this movie funny, I think that they would have to go visit their dentist afterwards. Because I can't jive with that at all.
Crystal, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the shit hit the fan, and the actual shit hits the fan. How can you go wrong? The movie was just great. Everything was so literal and so dramatic and just so overdone, and it was a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece.
I think between this one and the Naked Gun, like I just wonder what it was like being on that movie set. Because like, could like if one person cracks a smile, you got to do it over again. So it had to be an upbeat. I wonder if like there was so many blown takes that the producers may come in like, "Yo, you guys got to get professional here." All right, I got to keep Eddie out for a second because of the echo. So my number one is a curveball that when I say this, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, how did I forget this one? It's the biggest, by far the biggest, like, different of the entire list. So we're coming in at number one, Team America World Police.
Yep.
You just can't go wrong with this film. It made by two of the best dudes that ever lived, exposing how stupid the human race is. And I think it's been called the most expensive puppet movie ever made. So yeah, I watch this all the time. We sing the songs. We know the songs. Every minute of this film is funny. Let me try Eddie here again. Eddie. Do I got to back out? All right, bud. But Crystal.
America, fuck yeah.
Yep.
I mean the bedroom scene with the poke in the eye, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
That movie, the funniest story, my mom and dad went and saw that movie in theater, and my mom laughed so hard that she ended up in the hospital because she thought she might be having a heart attack. Like that
would have been publicity. Unfortunately, we would have lost your mom, but would have been hell of a publicity.
Yeah, exactly.
I could tell you when I saw this in the theater, it was a little on the later side, so there wasn't a lot of people. But I do remember a mom brought their kids, and they were like 9 and 10. And I'm looking over, I'm kind of like, I don't think they're supposed to be here.
No.
And the kids were laughing so hard. And the mom kept saying about 50 minutes in, like, if it gets any worse, I'm going to have to get you out of here. I'm like, what could be what at this point?
If it gets any worse?
Your kids are ruined. What is the point? But yeah, it was this. Every minute of the movie is this good, and just the idea of how the puppets moved, and then and the whole idea of like, and it's so funny today with like what's going on political, how much like they outed all the Hollywood celebrities, and it's the funniest dialogue of like. What he goes, we'll just read what's on the news and then pass it along as if it was our own information. Actually, I just love that so much because that's like what crazy actors do. Yeah. So yeah, but Alex.
So I never saw Team America World Police. I think I avoided it because I thought it was too political. And I just didn't want to watch a political movie, and it's turned out it was very political. But I've never seen it after all these years. It's sort of like a propaganda piece, right?
Nah, I just think it's another South Park where they're just pointing how stupid the human race is. That's all it is.
I think just like take some of the like worst stuff that you could find from the South Park movies or from the show and just put it into one movie. That's really what they did.
Yeah, and they did some spoofs like on Kill Bill and stuff. It's just fun. And then like seeing them fight because you can't make puppets fight, so they do just kind of fall together and just push off each other. It's just so good. It's just so good. It really is. And then there's like the Blu-ray where the extended sex scene where like he poops on her and stuff. They get like they pee and poop.
It's just so out there.
Like, they went there. It gets so out of control.
Are they supposed to be like action figures? Is that what they are?
America's like considered a world police, so I think it was supposed to be kind of modeled off like our Navy SEALs, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, so at the beginning they get Bin Laden. That's like the beginning of the movie, and then something horrible happens after that. So it's this.
And then there's North Korea stuff, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh, total. Yeah, they make fun of him badly, like really bad. I think it's the dad though, right, Crystal? It's not.
Yeah.
Or the father was still alive, so it's on him. So
yeah, it came out in like the early 2000s, so he was probably still in power at that point.
Yeah, I think it's like 04, 06 maybe when this came out. So, But yeah, we knocked out 20 here in a pretty fast time. So
I have one that I wish I would have put on my list.
so I have a lot more than one, but go ahead.
Yeah, Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good one.
Yeah.
You
Like,
could have stayed in the Mel Brooks world. I almost had like hard for 5. It's hard to do 5, but I like all our picks because we
Yeah,
didn't
they were
overlap.
great
And
picks.
I thought we gave all a good variety. So I thank everybody for coming on. I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up here, and thank you both. And Eddie, I'm sure. Wish I could
Well,
get a proper send off. I'll send
Is
you
his name Eddie or is his name Yeti?
Eddie, but he's just making fun of himself.
Ah, all right.
What Eddie does. So I've known him the longest out of all of you. So, but I thank everybody for taking the time because these these roundtables are fun. So everyone,
Thank
please,
you.
Average Superstar TV, hit that subscribe button. We have a new show every Monday. And with that, Alex, I'll give you the floor to plug your show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. And you can check out Donna the Horror Cast and other genres on Spotify. And you can find me on Instagram under the same name.
Sweet. Yes, I've been on the show multiple times. I will continue to do that. Crystal, I know you're an aspiring actress here. If you want to tell everybody what's going on with you.
Yeah. So I have a feature film, Harlow's Haunt, that's going to be playing over at MegaCon on April 1st. Come see us at 5 o'clock if you can. Orlando, fly down. I know you guys aren't from right around here, but been working in the industry about 1.5 years. So come follow me, Crystal.Gorski on Instagram. And hoping to work with some other people this year. I got a lot of stuff in the works. So
awesome. Yeah. And Harlow's Hunt is directed by the great Terry Gerald, giving you a foot there, and also has John Dugan from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
yes.
John is amazing. So yeah, it's a great film. Definitely, if you have a chance, come out and come see us.
Sweet. Well, until next countdown and next week, I will say to this audience and my guest here that the party is over.